So I'm pretty sure I mentioned before that Jagi, that's what he looks like. I like the fact they put him on the cover of Volume 4 because half the volume is, well, dedicated to his arc, essentially. But what I like about his character, right, is that he is really an irredeemable piece of shit. That's what he is. And the author doesn't try to redeem him at all. You know, his whole ideology of that Hoto Shinken is just another way of, you know, basically getting what you want in the world. It's a means of power. It's just like utilizing weapons. As in too, even though Jagi knows the simple basics, mechanics of Hoto Shinken, Hoto no Ken. I'm saying that wrong. My bad. He still utilizes other weapons, like a sawed-off shotgun, poison needles, the environment around him. That's just what he does. And his whole hatred towards Kenshiro is because Kenshiro was the youngest out of 4 siblings. Now, okay, so the thing is that there was this guy named Ryuken. Ryuken was the last true heir to Hoto no Ken. Wow, why do you think Shinken for? Fuck. To Hoto no Ken. And Ryuken didn't have any children, so he took up 4 boys. 4 orphan boys. Those names are Rao, Toki, Jagi, and Kenshiro. Now, Kenshiro is the one that, well, was announced successor of Hokonoken, or the Fist of the North Star. And as we know, there can only be one successor. Usually what happens after said successor gets, you know, announced, the other practitioners of Hokonoken either have their fists broken, that way they can never practice Hotonoken at all, or their memories are erased. That way your memories are erased and you can't remember that you learned the fucking techniques. So there's that. Jagi was mad because the youngest got picked out of all of them. Now, if it were for his 2 older brothers, Toki or Rao, being picked, he wouldn't have any problem with that, because Jagi's ideology is that the youngest is never better than the oldest. So to him, there is this like hierarchy amongst young and old. But that honestly doesn't make him a great villain. What makes him a great villain is what he had managed to accomplish behind the scenes. He is the sole reason why Shin decided to take Yuria away from Kenshiro, and why Shin basically tried to kill Kenshiro and gave Kenshiro his iconic Big Dipper scars. And then, by giving himself the same scars that was given to Kenshiro, he, Jagi, went around and essentially soiled Kenshiro's name, making people believe that he was Kenshiro, when in fact, well, he's not. But if you go around saying you're somebody else in an age where, well, you can't really prove who is who, only by certain, you know, bodily abnormalities. You know, like, for example, if someone said, hey, there's this guy with a big slash across his face, and he's this person, there's another guy with another big slash across his face who looks kind of like this guy, yeah, people get both of them confused, especially if someone has never actually seen the person with whom is being framed, essentially. So Jagi ruined Kenshiro's reputation. So of course, Kenshiro's pissed about that. He's pissed about the fact that Jagi led to Shin's untimely death, because Kenshiro wouldn't have tried to kill Shin if Jagi didn't do what he did in the first fucking place. What Jagi did to Shin was essentially what Wormtongue did to the King of Rohan. He whispered sinister sweet nothings in his ear. And thanks to Jagi, we now know that the other two brothers, Toki and Rao, are still alive. So the Jagi arc leads straight into the Miracle City arc, which leads straight into the Cassandra arc. Now, the Miracle City arc is essentially just Kenshiro learning that Toki is alive, but Toki went fucking nuts, started killing people. However, the person that was killing people wasn't Toki, it was just some dude named Amoeba, who is, well, the guy's a genius, but the whole point of this arc is not to show that some dude, took the face of Toki or rearranged his own face to look like Toki's face and learned Hoto no Ken and also Nanto Shinken independently of each other. No, wait, sorry. My bad. It was Jagi that learned Nanto Shinken. This Amoeba guy didn't. Sorry. But the fact that this guy learned Hoto no Ken through just studying about it showed that there really can be only one practitioner. Because if you don't know what the fuck you're doing with this martial art, then you can end up hurting yourself, which the guy actually does. He ends up blowing up his own fingers. Not like most villains in the story, the dude's just evil for the sake of evil. Like, he uses people as experiments to experiment new types of pressure points and such. He even just, right in front of the boy's parents, he kills a young boy by hitting the wrong pressure point. And Kenshiro notices this just right the fuck away. But the best thing about this City of Miracles arc is that the arc itself gives us a lot of backstory and a lot of development towards a character we have never even fucking met yet, and that is Toki. Like, we see Toki realistically like maybe a handful of times, aside from flashbacks in this volume. And one time we see him in the actual present, but that's only kind of in shadow. Because Toki was taken to this city called Cassandra, which Cassandra is a prison city, basically. Think of Cassandra as like Impel Down. There. And here's the thing, is that Kenshiro was actually convinced that Amoeba was Toki, because the fact that Amoeba was able to block most of Kenshiro's techniques. He had the same scars as Toki did. There's a scar on Toki's back when Toki saved Kenshiro from a falling tree. There's a bunch of other stuff too that just really nailed that this may not be an imposter, that possibly Toki did in fact go nuts and just started just killing people at random. However, if it wasn't for Rei showing up, I believe it was like Rei and Mamiya, both of them showed up. If it wasn't for them appearing, then, well, Rei knew who the guy was. Let's put it that way. Rei knew that it was Amoeba. And once Kenshiro knew that Toki had no partake in any of these heinous crimes that Amiibo was committing, well, that made it just so much more easier for Kenshiro to annihilate Amoeba. Oh, going back to the Jagi story, because I just remembered this, my bad, that Jagi's story is also the story of Kenshiro's first and only act of weakness. Now, there's a reason why Kenshiro obliterates every criminal that comes in his path. You know, the reason why he gives them no mercy. And that's because he showed mercy to the wrong person, and look what it did to his reputation. It came to bite him back in a big fucking way. So far, there isn't much to really say about the Cassandra arc right now. However, I do see a lot of, actually not just the Cassandra arc, but this volume alone, I see a lot of parallels between北斗の拳and One Piece. Like, you can't tell me that Jagi without his mask on, okay, it's fucking Spandam. And then in front of the gate, okay, of Cassandra are these two giant guards. Two giant guards in front of a gate. Kind of reminds me of those two giants in Ine's lobby. That, well, they were working for the government, but ended up getting, well, I can't remember how, but Usopp persuaded them to basically join Luffy's side. And in the story, Kenshiro notices that these two men don't want anything to do with what's actually being taking place inside of Cassandra, which is being led by an authoritarian figure who looks like a Viking with a whip. To give you a visual representation of what I am referring to. Also in the volume, we learned that Toki really doesn't have a long time to live, because Toki experienced full-on the blast of the fallout. So Kenshiro was around for when the world basically went to shit. And if it wasn't for Toki sacrificing himself, Kenshiro may or may not have been alive. So the volume gave us a lot of great character development for most of the brothers, except for Rao. And it gave us some great fucking villains as well. Jagi being one of them, Amoeba, kind of, and the Warden. Well, that's still to be determined, you know. And with that being said, what do you guys think of Fist of the North Star, Volume 4, which is really just Japanese Volumes 5 and 6 collected, I believe. 7 and 8. Yeah. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching. Hope y'all have a wonderful day. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification icon. That way you'll know when I put out more content in the future. As well as to give the video a thumbs up. That way the algorithm knows that my content is worth watching, and that, well, it makes me feel good too. And I know I have not been asking this, but if you can, share this video around. And with that being said, ciao for now.